Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another Fool's Gold review, and it has been ages since I last actually covered a Fool's Gold review, even though I do have a couple of videos somewhat left on my channel covering some older Fool's Gold review on the Rainbow Press and Comics website. I thought it might be about time to sort of return to this because I think it's been missing from the channel for quite a bit, and I do happen to know that there are people who actually enjoy the Fool's Gold and the idea of it. Now, to those who are new to learning about how Fool's Gold works on the channel, as you can see, I do rate it like any other story that I rate on the channel, but the only thing that sort of changes in the rating is that I give sort of like a after, so the key rating and then how much I believe it's worth. So this is what this is for. So, and yes, there might be some language in here that will be used. Of course, we see I have the cover. I give it a rating out of 10, and then after its rating out of 10, how much I believe the cover is worth instead of what they're telling me that I should pay for it. The same applies to the art as well as the story, and we also get a bit of a total for the artist as well as for the writer. But in this particular case, I will not be covering just the total for the artist or the writer. It's just going to be the overall total for today for both of these titles. Now, for the first one, we can see it's $3.99, but that's not in Australian dollars. That's in US dollars. So for the first one that will be reviewed, that is Catwoman issue 58. With the currency conversion here in Australia and through my LCS, and the total I paid for it is about $7.15. That's without subscription price of what I normally pay for it. So if I were to subscribe to it, it would be about 10% less than what you see there. Or with the subscription, yes, it would be 10%, but I'm going the full price of how much I pay for it. And the other one is $5.99, which is around $10.75 Australian in the currency conversion. I'll now get things organized for the review of Catwoman issue 58, and then we'll move on to the Gotham War Scorched Earth. So, as we move into the rating of first things first, and that is for the cover. Now, does this cover in any way, shape, or form connect to something that is inside with the story? Sure enough, it does, to which I give a 6 out of 10. That's right, a 6 out of 10. I want to point out as well that I do not collect the present Catwoman run in any shape or form. This was basically added to my list because of the Gotham War event. I'm surprised that the LCS didn't also include the Red Hood related stuff in regards to the Gotham War, nor was I asked about it, but that's all right. Let's go ahead and revive this long lost Fool's Gold review. So for the cover, do I believe it's worth what it's worth? Seeing it's a 6 out of 10, I believe the cover is more so worth about $1.25. We'll now move into the internal art as we have a look around the beginning, middle, and the end, and also what's happening with the cast of characters within the story. So as the story begins, we have a situation to which Selina is talking with Bruce, and this is just around the beginning of the story until there's a bit of an explosion of sorts. as we start to jump towards the middle of the story, we do end up at a location at a Gotham Museum of Natural Science, to which we get to see Catwoman take on Scandal Savage, who's played the role of Marquis. And last but not least, we get to see members of Batman's Rogues Gallery now ready to go up against Vandal and Scandal Savage. So, for the internal art, I give it a 6 out of 10, to which I believe it's worth about $1.25. So, instantly, say for the artist's sake, in regards to the cover and the internal art, that's about $2.50 for the artist. Now, let's move into the area of the story. Now, looking at how far we are in the issues, it is important that these stories also have comic book references, considering how far we are. And first things first, does this story have any comic book references, like to whether it's any of the previous issues or something that is actually connected to this particular story arc run? Surprisingly, there wasn't. So goodbye, we lose a lot of points. What about the next thing? The time. Do we know what time that this is taking place? Do we get any indications time-wise? None at all. Like, is it at 10 p.m., 11 p.m.? When is this occurring during this particular event? Nothing at all. Points lost. And yes, not only will it affect the story, it's going to affect how much the story is worth. So the next thing is locations. Now, the closest location I managed to get a hold of in the story was the Gotham Museum, as was also shown there whilst looking at the internal art. And last but not least, we had the cast of characters. And were we able to identify all of the characters? It would have been nice to have even with some of the villains, have their names put next to them. Even their villain names would have been a little bit helpful. Even though I was able to recognize some, if there was a new reader to pick this up and they didn't know who they were, it would probably help to include it. I mean, it would probably help to include it, especially if they might be a new Catwoman reader or even a new Batman type reader. So, who do we see in this? Of course, we have Selina Kyle, Catwoman, we have Bruce Wayne Batman, Vandal and Scandal Savage. We had Black Mask, we had Two-Face, Professor Pig, Jason Todd, Red Hood, the Mad Hatter, Killer Moth and Firefly. For the overall rating of this story, I give a 4 out of 10. How much do I believe this story is worth? 90 cents. The overall total, now we know that 90 cents goes to the story writer, but the overall title is $3.40. Now it's time to move into the Gotham War Scorched Earth. So, as we jump straight into the next thing, in regards to this particular story, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside of the story? And do we practically get to see what actually happens on this cover? The answer is a big fat effing no. That's right, a no. So this cover gets a 2 out of 10, to which I believe the cover is worth about 20 cents. Now remember the total for what it is for things at around $5.99. So already we're losing quite a bit of money here. Now it's time to move into the internal art, as we'll have a look around the beginning, middle, and the end of story. and also what's happening with the cast of characters within the story. So as the story begins, we have Tim Drake, Red Robin, who is drawn way better than the way he was drawn in the terrible Megan Fitzmartin run. In all occasions, I must admit. And of course, immediately we get a comic book reference to one of the previous issues, well, the issue we just covered. And of course, with him going out of his way to, I guess, support the villains, but not all of them. Jumping a little bit closer towards the middle, so we're about at the halfway mark, half of the halfway mark. We get to see Nightwing is moving in, as well as Batman and also Catwoman doing their thing. We jump a little bit further within the story, and we see that GCPD gets attacked, and I think that's meant to be the Scarecrow, I think. Again, not very clear in some of these people that they're bringing into the story. And we have Batman taking on his rogues, who are, I guess, in some essence, trying to mock the Bat. Of course, we get to see more things taking place within the story. And with all of that gas that's going around, why isn't Tim wearing his bloody mask? It's quite a disgraceful way to bring in the character and to treat him as such. Where's his mask, especially when gas of sorts is going around the city, whether it's fear gas or something else? So finally we get a bit of an impact of one of the meteorites that are striking the city. So we return to the event that's occurring around Vandal Savage and Scandal Savage, of him wanting to get his immortality back, until we move towards the end, to which it's 2 weeks later after the events. So for the internal art, I gave a 4.5 out of 10. And this art was a complete, utter mess over the place. And it did not work well in any sense with the story. And the story was an utter mess too. To which I believe the art is worth $1 here. That's right, $1. So immediately we have $1.20 for the artist. Let's move into the area of the story. So, first things first, did we get any comic book references, seeing that this is connected to somewhat a Batman-style event, more like a Catwoman-style event? So, first reference is we get to Catwoman issue 58 and also Justice League issue 50. Next is the area of time, to which we have 2 weeks later appear in it. After that is the area of the location, to which we sort of get really no indication as to what locations some of these events are taking place at. Yes, we got to see the GCPD, but whereabouts was that GCPD? Was it in, say, downtown Gotham, upper Gotham, mid Gotham? Where the hell was that? Last but not least, the cast of characters that we get to see in the story. And I must admit, we did get a lot of cast of characters within the story, as we had Vandal and Scandal Savage. We had Tim Drake, Red Robin. I am not calling him Robin. I am calling him Red Robin. We had Killer Moth, Firefly, Two-Face, Black Mask, Professor Pig, Oracle, Jason Todd, Red Hood, Bruce Wayne, Batman, Damian Wayne, Robin. We had Duke Thomas, The Signal. We had Spoiler, Stephanie Brown. We also had Nightwing and also Zero. For the overall story rating in this, I give a 1 out of 10, as this fell, well, more flat on its face than anything. To which I believe the story is worth about 5 cents. To which the total of this is $1.25. Well, until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.